morning everyone, so this is Alan Desiree Believer. In this video, we will discuss all about the genre of prose and comprehending prose. So let's start. Reviews in the genre of prose and comprehending prose. Let's first discuss what is prose. So prose is a verbal or written language that follows the natural flow of speech. It is the most common form of writing used in both fiction and non-fiction. So prose comes from the Latin word prosa oratio, which means straightforward. So like for example, the conversation. So that is one of the example of prose. Textbook, lectures, novels, short stories, fairy tales, and newspaper articles, and some of the essays. So that's are the example of prose. So let's continue. The genre of prose. So prose can be vary depending according to styles and purpose. So there are four distinct types of prose that writers use. So let's tackle the first one, the non-fictional prose. So prose that is a true story or factual account. So it means mga nahitabo sa tinuod nga kinabuhi of events or information is called non-fiction. So example, textbook, newspaper article, and instructional manuals all fall into this category. So as what I have said earlier, na ang non-fiction is based on a true story or mga factual nga nahitabo sa atoang kinabuhi. So let's proceed to the second one. The second one is fictional prose. So a literary work of fiction, this is the most popular type of literary prose used in novels and short stories, generally has character, plot, setting, and dialogue. So this is the most popular. Like for example, Wattpad. What's in Wattpad? So naa dira ang mga fictional character nga to ang imagine, gina-visual na to sa to ang kaugalingon, di ba? And the plot naa na diha at tanan because when we say literature, it is all about the entertainment. So that's why some of the writer used fictional prose to capture the interest of the reader. So let's proceed to the third one. The heroic prose. So this is a literary work that either written down or preserved through oral tradition, but is meant to be recited. So heroic prose is usually a legend or fable. When we say legend, mo na siya tong mga alamat or fable. Mo na siya ang fable katong mga may animal character. Ang main character is animal. So sabotable na kayo ni siya. So let's proceed to the fourth one. The prose poetry. So since we mentioned the prose poetry, let's differentiate the prose and poetry. So prose tends to comprise of full grammatical sentences building to a paragraphs, while poetry typically contains a metrical scheme and often some element of rhyme. So prose poetry, a poetry written in a prose form. So this literary hybrid can sometimes have rhythmic and rhyming patterns. So that is why it is called the hybrid of prose poetry. So let's continue. So let's proceed to the comprehending prose. So in the form of general passage, sometimes extended into a multiple paragraphs. So why we need to comprehend prose? It is to check the ability of students to understand the passage and process the information provided in the passage. So when we say passage, it is sometimes a story or mga text, ana. So how are skills tested? So a few questions are asked at the end of the passage to evaluate how well you have understood the passage and how efficiently you have processed the information provided in the passage or in the story. So let's proceed to tips on how to comprehend prose. First, read the passage reasonably fast to get a general idea. So, when we read a story, kailangan mo dyan na to paspasan para makuha na to ang main idea sa uh, sa story. Unsay reason ani nga story, di ba? O what is the general idea of the story? So, dili po na to kailangan nga ah, isa lang ka word ato ang basahon para makuha na to ang general idea. No, we have to read the whole story to get the general idea of the story. So the second one is read again a little slowly to know the details. So mo na ni siya, pa after nimo makuha ang general idea, you have to read it again to para makuha nimo ang iyang details sa story. So the third one is study the question thoroughly. So since you have read the story, then you have also to study the question para maansiran nimo siya og tarong. So the fourth one is use keyword from the text. So sabotable na kayo na siya guys, no? Use keyword from the text. You have to use some of the words from the story to elaborate what's the main or the general idea of the story. So I think that would be all. So thank you guys. Thank you for listening. God bless. Thank you.